Hello and good afternoon and welcome to Travel Talk Thursday with Travel Time. For anyone who's joining us for the first time, Travel Time is a full-service travel agency with locations in the US and in Canada. We've received numerous awards over more than a decade in the industry. We've organized these live broadcasts to bring to our audience important and reliable information about what's going on in the travel world. With all of that said, I'd like to welcome and thank Rod Hanna with the St. Lucia Tourist Board for joining us today. Hello, Rod.
Hi, Lois. Thanks so much for having me. And you forgot to mention that you are a St. Lucia expert as well. That's something very important. We're very grateful and appreciative when professionals
St. Lucia is one of our favorite destinations, and we've been there quite a number of times, and we've sent lots of clients there. So we're really excited to hear today what you have to share with us.
My pleasure. So we're going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about some of the updates and things, what's going on. I know people have questions, but just try and give a quick little overview in regards to the destination, but also what the protocols are in place and things like that right now. So,
okay.
Yeah, so quickly off the get-go, it's just in the name St. Lucia. I don't know if you or your viewers know this, but St. Lucia is actually the only country in the world named after a woman. So that has been researched and found to be true. And that's why our tagline is "Let her inspire you," because she is a woman. And you're going to see that. And, we are referring to her as, I just did it, referring to the country as a her, as we always do. So what you're seeing there in the picture is our iconic Pitons. Those are UNESCO heritage sites, both above the water, under the water. So that's unique in itself. You can go diving, follow the trajectory of the volcano peaks right down under the water, and you can also climb them. We're going to touch on that a little later too.
That's actually a favorite excursion that a lot of our honeymoon couples are the more adventuresome people, and especially ones who have an interest in Hawaii. Sometimes they come to us asking about Hawaii, and that is a favorite excursion to climb those Pitons.
Yeah, it is. They say you have to be quite hydrated and rested.
And good shoes.
Yes, it's an arduous climb, but definitely have water with you. And depending on the weather, you can encounter all kinds of fun stuff on the way up and the way down. So that's St. Lucia. So here's a little map, just to sort of give you a layout of the land for those of you that aren't familiar necessarily where St. Lucia is located, Eastern Caribbean, of course. And for those of us here in Canada, it's about a 5-hour flight from Toronto. So for any connectors from your part of the country, come to Toronto, and then it's 5 hours from there. On the right there of your screen, you'll see the layout of the country itself. The airport where you would fly into is on the southern part. You see the plane there at the bottom. That's a Hiwanora Airport. And then the majority of the hotels, with the exception of Coconut Bay and Serenity at Coconut Bay, are located near the airport. Some of them will be located there to the left where the Pitons are. That's sort of the adventure capital of the island. And then the majority of them will be up in the Castries area, where you're going to see also Gros Islet up on the northern side. But that's where the major concentration of properties and hotels would be. So I just had this slide in here for just the update. So as of right now, Air Canada is the only carrier flying out of Canada. Flights just started actually this month, so November 7th.
That was an exciting day for all of us.
It was great, and the flight was pretty much almost full flight, so we're very happy with that. And since then, now this Saturday, day after tomorrow, will be our third flight, and the load factors are looking quite good. Understandably enough, lots of returning nationals though, because Canada does have lots of Lucians that live here or have family in St. Lucia, have migrated here over the years. But in general, lots of people coming back down to St. Lucia to visit the hotels. Now, in this image here, that is actually Marigot Bay, and that is a safe harbor. Marigot Bay property there is a favorite of many because it's not your typical island destination type hotel. We were fortunate enough with my family actually to spend, what year are we in? So this is 2000, I guess it was 2019. So it would have been last year, yes. Last year in June, we were spent a couple days there. So that's a great little property in a picturesque little bay area of St. Lucia there, Marigot Bay. Now, in regard to the airlines, I'll just quickly say On the systems right now, and for any of those of you watching wanting to book, you would reach out to Lois and she would look in the system and see when there are flights available for you. On a normal year, and of course we hear this a lot, we would normally have WestJet as well as Sunwing flying out of Canada going to St. Lucia. But as of this year, last I checked, WestJet is not confirmed when they will be going. We're hope in the new year, maybe after January. And I did check just very recently, Sunwing is showing February as the first flights out of Toronto. So just as an FYI, but in the meantime, you would get an Air Canada flight that she'd be able to book you with. What we're seeing here is something that's very unique to St. Lucia. And this is an excursion that's called Bean to Bar. And basically, it's a fun excursion. It's something very romantic. You can do it with a couple, with a group of friends also, or just a family. And you're basically making your own chocolate bar. So one of the things that we like to highlight in regard to St. Lucia is we're not your typical destination. You'll hear us say that a lot in the sense that if you want to see the sand, see, I always get these mistaken, sea, sand, and sun, you can go to many destinations. But with St. Lucia, there's so much more out there. You saw a picture of the Pitons earlier. I mean, we always say going to St. Lucia, not visiting the Pitons is like going to Egypt and not going to see the pyramids. Or, coming to somebody who comes to Ontario and doesn't go to Niagara Falls. Things like that. It's just very typical. So you can sit on the beach. You're more than welcome to, lounge by the pool, but it just seems a missed opportunity when you're there to not do things like this, which is a Bean to Bar excursion where they show you all the process from what happens when they pick the cocoa bean to you, making your own chocolate bar. This picture is taken at Rabbit Chocolate Hotel in St. Lucia, of course, and they have a magnificent restaurant on site where everything is chocolate infused. So you're done this part of the excursion, you do your own chocolate bar, they put it in a fast fridge for you, and it's sort of starting to cool down while you're having lunch, and you will have lunch that has everything chocolate inspired. So people go, how does that work? Well, I remember we had a pumpkin sort of soup, but it had cocoa nibs in it. And of course, cocoa nibs aren't necessarily sweet, they're almost bitter. So it would mix with the squash soup pumpkin, it made it really interesting. Then there was a salad that had a chocolate sort of drizzle, and the steak had a chocolate sauce. I remember it was just really strange, but everything was chocolate inspired, if you will.
And delicious.
Butter. Oh, goodness, yes, as you can tell. The pounds
we did a team visit to St. Lucia a few years ago, and visiting some of these chocolate experiences were a highlight of the trip for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's unique. It's something different, right? So, and the dessert, we won't even go there. There's just so many options, all cocoa infused and chocolate inspired. So that's one of the many things you can do in St. Lucia. So I talked about the Pitons. There you have it. There's a picture of a couple who actually climbed to the top of a Gros Piton. Now, with what's happening now, there are certain excursions that are COVID-19 certified. What that means is lots of these excursions, you wouldn't normally in a regular year have to do it sort of isolated on your own. There would be other people around you. You may be mixing with locals. There would be cruise passengers. Well, that's not the case as we know right now. So there have been certain excursions that have been earmarked to be safe, and there's certain protocols in place so that people can do those safely. And climbing the Gros Piton is one of them. I haven't yet to do it, but I've heard again, it's a great exhilarating experience.
You need a morning where you have really good energy to do this one.
And a good night's sleep the night before, absolutely, yes. And then of course, Rainforest Adventure is another one that's very popular with families. One of the sites, it's in the closest to Freya, has over 12 different platforms. There are different companies that have that, but all the safety measures are in place, of course, for the COVID-19 certification going on right now. And the nice thing is you start zip lining, and at some certain points you have platforms, or you will have picture ops where the pitons are right behind you. So it almost looks like you're zip lining from one piton to the other. And then of course the ever popular Sulphur Springs, the mud bath. This again is one that on a normal year you would go and it would be full. Especially when cruise passengers come in, because that's an excursion that's sold very much to them. But now it's only a group of people. So if you're staying, say, at a Sandals property, you can book this excursion, and it would only be you and probably a couple others from that exact resort that are there for a certain period of time, so you're not in touch with other people. It is a fun.
This is a lot of fun as well. I got to do this one.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I keep going back to my own experience when I went with my family. and my son was 13 at the time, my daughter was 9, and I thought they're going to find this boring. They just want to leave. They're not going to like the smell or the temperature of the water. They didn't want to leave. They thought it was so much fun. You know, you get to paint their faces, and you go in the hot water, and then you put the mud on, and the exfoliation process, and it just, like I said, rejuvenates you. It's therapeutic. They do say it makes you look and feel 10 years younger.
Yeah, so we all need to go.
Exactly. My thing is, I tell people I'm actually 80 because I've done it 4 times.
Made enough visits here that's taken care of it.
Exactly. I don't know if it's helping much, but it definitely is a fun experience. Now, one tip, if I can give you, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but to your travelers and guests, if you ever go to Sulphur Springs, take a bathing suit that you're not going to be wanting to wear or that you treasure very much, because the smell of the sulfur and the mud color will stay many times on your bathing suit for weeks. The smell will stay on for years. I do have a pair of swimming trunks that I will only use for Sulphur Springs, and it's upstairs in my room. And if I go grab it and I smell them, they still smell like sulfur after being washed numerous times.
No white bathing suits here.
No, exactly. You don't want to take your treasured, beautiful white bathing suits there now.
But it's fun.
Oh yeah, it's unique. It's fun, right? It's something that you can talk about and laugh about, and it's a very, very neat experience. So quickly, I'm just going to touch on a couple of the COVID-19 certified hotels. Now, I mentioned, so just a little background, when COVID happened, St. Lucia closed its borders on the 24th of March. And since then, of course, reopening has happened in June. First flights started to arrive in July. But prior to that, the St. Lucia Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Tourism put in place certain protocols that needed to happen for these resorts to be open. So from the obvious, earmarking or marking on the floor of the distancing, to mask protocols, to having nurses stations, to having rooms set aside for isolation, cleaning protocols, distancing in regards to where you're eating, how the food was served, just numerous things that are too long to mention. But these hotels were given the opportunity to go ahead and do that. And if we go to the next slide, we're going to see the first set of hotels that was, of course, very well known. The Sandals were some of the first. I believe Sandals Grand was the first hotel to be COVID certified. Yes, so they put things in place. As you can see just by the images there, it is quite large. Occupancies are not that high these days, so it allows people to social distance. I know of 2 travel agents from Ontario who are there right now who've shared pictures and videos, which I find quite telling in regards to even something as simple as a nightly entertainment. The entertainment at night is in that pool you see there. But the one video the fellow showed the guy inside the water pushing the surfboard for the performer. He was wearing a mask, while even himself being in the water. But then people are far enough seated watching the show and hearing the music that you're not like in an amphitheater or something like that, where you really can't have comfort. And
really, Sandals being a specialty of ours at Travel Time, they being set up for couples only, they are set up for the social distancing and space and that type thing. So they were already ready for that.
Yeah, it was. I think that's why they're doing it so well. And you see in the background in the picture, you have the Pigeon Island, and that Pigeon Island excursion, that's a national park, is one of the authorized COVID excursions. So the left little hump, if you will, there's a fort, and you can climb up there. It's not nearly as high, of course, as the Pitons, and you can just walk over there, book it with the people at the hotel, but that is an authorized fun little excursion right close by there as well. Now you have also Sandals Regency Latak. For those that want to golf, there's a golf course on property. It's a 9-hole golf course. At first it was not open, but now it is. But there's numerous different room categories available here for people wanting the Butler and the Millionaire Suite. I know it's a famous one here, but you have those beautiful views available. Something else to keep in mind, that you see a picture of that boat at the bottom there, that's part of the Sandals Dive. So if you have any divers, enthusiasts, clients of yours that want to go diving, this would be a perfect property, because that is, again, diving has been permitted since August, and Sandals will take care of them and take them, of course, to the spot and then bring them right back to their property. But Sandals Latak is a great one as well. And then the other Sandals Halcyon, and that is had just went through some major renovations. That picture on the right there, their lazy river, I believe it's now one of the largest, if not the largest, lazy river in the Caribbean.
It is.
Again, some of the swim out rooms and the category rooms have been updated, but it is very much a lush property, much more low key, if you will, for nature lovers and people just want to be more of a slower pace, this is a perfect property for that as well, and a beautiful set beach there.
This one hasn't reopened yet. It's scheduled now in February, I believe. But
Yeah,
just to mention that Sandals is
yeah,
doing some amazing promos right now, obviously with COVID and the lack of travelers and things like that. Just to reward their loyal guests, they have some great promos on weekly and some great things that we can help with if you want to reach out to us on it.
and that the SandalsHalcyon has been pushing back the date a couple times, but it's one of the favorites, and lots of people have asked about it.
The bulk of the guests at this resort in particular are from the UK, and with the recent lockdown in the UK, I think it changed the opening date, but that's beyond anybody's control. It is worth the wait when it does open. Near the top of my list for my next Sandals visit personally. So there you go.
Excellent. Yes. And then I just thought I'd include a couple other hotels. So we went from the ones for couples only and adults to Coconut Bay. Coconut Bay is one of the properties I mentioned that's 5 minutes from the airport. It is a great property. I've had the opportunity to stay in there with my family as well. It's got really the only property that has a true water park right on the site. Again, the lazy river, a great kids club, and activities you can do not just for small kids but teens. There's paintball and there's snorkeling right off the beach. It's kite surfing is great there because that's at the bottom of the island where you get the crosswinds, and you can have lessons if you don't know or get certified to do kite surfing. Within Coconut Bay, there is an adults only section called Harmony. So even if you're an adult staying on the splash side, you can go over there. There's no breaks.
That works very well for wedding groups. We've had a couple of wedding groups go to this resort, and it's been a great feature that we can actually have couples who are traveling without children stay at on the Harmony side, and then the family side for people with kids. But it's they're mixing back and forth, and it's close enough that they can enjoy both experiences on the one resort.
Exactly. Once grandma and grandpa or the uncles and aunts don't want anything more to do with the kids, they can head over to Harmony, or the parents who are on Splash want some adult time, they'll drop off the kids at the kids club and head over and hang out at the pool at Harmony. That can be done as well. So that's a great option. And then the newer property opened, I want to say almost 3 years ago now, is Serenity at Coconut Bay. And that's a property in itself, 36 plunge pool suites, as you see there. All the rooms have those plunge pools. All of them have butler. So in this time now too, where people just necessarily want to get away, self-isolate even on holidays and not necessarily want to be in touch with other people, you can do that. The butler will even come to your room and prepare meals for you or anything specific you would like, run baths as an example. But there is a great demand for this type of property now, and this is a great little
this looks like an amazing addition for this resort. I can't wait to see that.
Absolutely. And then of course we have some of the iconic ones. Here we have Ladera Resort. Ladera is located up right between the two Pitons, so you don't even need to imagine, just look at the pictures of the views you're going to get, having dinner with that view as the sun sets, or being in a suite that has you swing right over the pool. But these rooms, of course, a characteristic is that they are 3-walled, so there's an open wall per se. But however, your bedding is covered by netting and so on and so forth, and you're up so high that really the issue with any kind of bugs or things like that is almost non-existent. There is a nice breeze constantly, so the fact that there's no air conditioning is not really a deterrent. I've again been fortunate enough to have stayed a couple times here, and it is great. The restaurant on site here, Dashane, is, in my opinion, one of the best restaurants for fresh farm to table. And the chef there, Nigel, is great at what he does, and some of the things they'll come up with, and some of their chocolate desserts as well.
The views from here are amazing. I've gotten to see that a few times.
Absolutely. And then right below it is Sugar Beach. Sugar Beach is part of the Viceroy. So if you were just wondering, if you're at the other hotel we just went by, looked at, you actually do have access to this beach. So they have a little van that will bring you down here if you want to spend time at the beach and not just be in your pool. But Sugar Beach has some amazing villas available for larger families, or you can stay right in the regular type rooms. But definitely a more of a high end and top quality in regards to just the amenities they offer, the service. Celebrity sightings happen a lot at this property. You'll see yachts pull up and celebrities stop in for lunch and things like that. But I mean, just to name drop, Oprah's been seen here quite a bit, coming in for lunch, and Matt Damon, the actor, actually bought out the resort for his vow renewal a couple years ago. He didn't invite me, but we're still not talking, but
The
that's okay.
restaurant here is superb as well. My team got to have lunch here and spend the day. It was
The one by the beach?
beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and the views are just it's so nice. It's idyllic. You look when you stand on the beach and you look towards one side, you have one piton, and you look to the other side. It almost sometimes doesn't feel you're in the Caribbean. I always say that when you're at this spot here. So it's very very lush, as you can see.
Beautiful.
And then the Canadian favorite, of course, Royalton. That's on the north side of the island. Royalton, St. Lucia, and Hideaway at Royalton, St. Lucia. So Hideaway would be the three buildings on the left. The other part would be Royalton. Of course, it's Hideaway, similar to what we talked about earlier with Harmony at Coconut Bay. Adults stay on that side. However, the difference here is even if you are an adult on the Royalton side, you don't have access to Hideaway. Hideaway is very specific in regards to that. There's a restaurant only for them, but then they will have access to everywhere else. Again, for kids too, a small little splash pad available, the room style. So what I tell people as well is if you've been to other Royaltons and you like the setup, you like the room, you pretty much come to St. Lucia, you're going to find everything identical in regards to the room and the type of hotel. The same furniture, same tubs, and the name of the restaurants are identical. It's just that this destination is much better.
This is the type of place that's great for people who are more comfortable with the familiar than trying new experiences.
Absolutely, yeah. We get that a lot. If you're a creature of habit, which is nothing wrong with that, you can come here. And then one of the most iconic and recognizable properties in St. Lucia is, of course, Jade Mountain. Jade Mountain was built, its owners, one of the owners is an architect, Canadian, actually.
Actually, she's coming on to the Travel Talk in a few weeks.
Oh,
this
wow.
property is one of the most amazing that I have ever seen anywhere.
Yeah, no, she's who's coming on?
Carolyn.
Carolyn. Oh, awesome. Yeah. She's great. So you'll get lots of info and details if you want more about that. But this, again,
this property is worth it.
Yes, absolutely. Lots of travelers will do. Honeymooners will maybe spend, they're there for 10 days and they might spend 7 at Royalton, but in the last 3 they'll come here before heading to the airport, or they'll even spend one night. It's just worth it to be.
Yeah, this one is a great split stay for somebody who wants to upgrade for the last few nights of their stay, or honeymoons or anniversary trips.
Correct. And this is of course, it's a must for people that want that bucket list property. Now, I just wanted to touch quickly and briefly, but yet very importantly, on what is happening now in regards to travelers. So if you are looking to go to St. Lucia now, here is what we call our travel checklist. And like it says, these are mandatory for all international visitors. And I like reminding people that when you are visiting other countries, specifically during these times, it should always be this way, but now we need to stress it even more. There are rules in place that are not up for debate, that are not optional. So in regards to St. Lucia, you need to have and fill out a travel registration form, which is available on the website, stlucia.org. We'll guide you through that. Once you fill out that form, you will receive in return a travel authorization letter. And what that form is very simple. Really, you're just putting in your travel dates. You're putting in what hotel you're staying at, the property. So what the team down there will do is verify with, say, Ladera and say, is Lois actually staying here from this date to this date, and this is a reservation? They'll say, absolutely, yes, she is. Perfect. They'll get you the authorization letter back, and away you go. That's the first part. Secondly, or the third part, if you will, this is the negative result PCR test. Important to note that no other type of COVID test is accepted. It has to be the PCR, and you take that within 7 days of arrival. It can't be any later than that. And there also is a health screening form, which is available to download and fill out and have with you. Again, some of these measure just to save time upon arrival, so that you're not spending that much time through immigration. But the next slide, you're going to see quickly a reminder how to calculate those 7 days, because that's a question we get a lot. People get confused. Well, this is very simple. If you were to arrive on a Sunday, the earliest you'd be able to take your PCR test would be the previous Monday, and that way it would be valid in the results. I don't know what it's like out there here in Ontario. I know it's I unfortunately had to have a test done a week ago today, actually, and we got our test results in less than 24 hours. So it was quite.
It's not easy. It's not as easy here to get COVID testing done, but I understand there is one company doing it for travel purposes, so it is possible.
Okay. Yeah. No, for us, unfortunately, we a family member, we were advised that one of our family members we'd come in direct contact with had tested positive. So all 4 of us went, but thankfully we're good. Here's just a picture of the health screening form. Like I mentioned, you download it, print it, fill it out, and just take it with you. Other countries I've visited, they will have something similar you would fill out on the plane, but they just allowed people to do it beforehand, as again, it will save time upon arrival. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty much it. Just a quick overview and let you know what some of the things are in St. Lucia and some of the requirements that we're dealing with right now. And I don't know if you noticed on the logo, it said of the COVID, it says saving lives and livelihoods, because that's one of the big things they want. St. Lucia is dependent quite heavily on tourism. Almost 65% of people have jobs related to or depend on tourism. So they definitely want to keep that safe for everybody.
One of the other points that is valid to make is that St. Lucia is an English-speaking island.
Correct.
And that is a question we get a lot regarding the different islands and where Spanish is the first language. And sometimes clients worry about, what's lost in translation, and especially during these times, like understanding that everything, all your directions and everything that is written for you at the hotel and so on and so forth will be English is the first language.
Absolutely. And people speak Creole, which is sort of a version of Patois. And that's simply because St. Lucia, over the years, if you look at the history, was switched hands 14 times between the French and the English. The English finally won. And St. Lucia itself as a country is not that old. It only had just last year a 40-year independence. So it's a fairly new country per se. But yeah, the English thing is...
And a very beautiful destination, I might add. The people are lovely. They have gorgeous resorts. The beaches are fantastic. And the whole culture is certainly one that once you go once, you do want to go again, for sure.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Well, that was a great bit of information, Rod. Thank you very much for coming on with us today and sharing that. I just want to say before we get off the call that we understand that our clients have all different comfort levels when it comes to when they are ready to travel again. And the fact that we're here talking about St. Lucia, yes, it is possible that you can go this week or next week. Not everybody is ready to go or planning to go that early. So whenever you are ready to travel, any listeners on here, we will be here and we'll be more than up to date on all the destinations that we offer. And certainly St. Lucia has always been near the top of that list. And we would be happy to assist you with any of your plans going forward. And once again, thank you, Rod. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
This will be I'm sure, watched and enjoyed by many people who are dreaming of their next vacation.
Excellent. Thanks again. We just hope they're inspired. And like I said, be sure to contact Lois if you want to travel. She knows what she's talking about. She's been there, like she said, and she is a St. Lucia expert. So that's always important to book with a travel agent, but book with somebody who knows their stuff.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Take care.
Bye-bye.